Hello and welcome to the Phoenix Plays. And today we're on the morning pickup. So let's get going. Good morning, driver. Today we're working the H-Class goods to Middleton Teesdale. Our train comprises of one coal wagon for Winston, one coal wagon and 3 cattle wagons for Barnard Castle, one coal wagon for Robaldkirk, and one coal wagon and 2 tankers for Middleton and Teesdale. We may start with signals permission. So yep, there's our train. So let me get me F5 up. E. I don't have a running position. So we start off and we're passing a K1. So our job basically is a drop-off goods train. And from what I gather, oh, we get to pick up a freight train that goes to Middleton and Teesdale, alongside the cars that we're already taking. Control and R for the automatic fireman. So that way I don't have to worry about, firing all the way to the station. Center the player, let's see. Are we bound to meet any more trains? No. At least it doesn't look like it. Oh no, wait, I take that back. Looks like we are to meet a train. Yeah, we're gonna be meeting the Middleton to Darlington train. And we're gonna meet at Winston. Meaning that we have to clear the road before she gets there. It looks like it's a DMU passenger. Here's the thing. We're a goods train. Effectively, we are going to be shunted to allow the passenger train to overtake us. And we don't have priority. By the way, I need to look up head code real quick. Give me a second. Now, you may be wondering why my train's going so slow, 25 miles an hour. Well, fact of the matter is, a lot of these wagons aren't fitted. And the ones that aren't near the locomotive. So my train is actually limited to 25 miles an hour. Which, yes, I know it's a slow burn run, but it's regulation. I can't go above the speed limit. Not without getting into mass amounts of trouble with the manager. And trust me, getting in trouble with British Railways higher-ups, that's a good way for you to be, how do I say, canned. You know, I shouldn't even say canned. Just straight out fired. Bye! Yes, we can use all the euphemisms for being fired. You know, you've been canned, pink slipped. You've been given the axe. You've been let go. You've been cut. We'll just say that you've been fired. And you can be so screwed if if that happens, because oftentimes if you've been, you know, fired from a railway job, and in front of my nose this, depending on the railway and how vindictive the railway management is, they can blacklist you from ever working on the railroad again. And a lot of railroads that if they see your name on that blacklist, bye. You know, you might as well kiss your chances goodbye. Is it bad? Yes. Are we looking at absolute stupidity? Yes. But you know what? It's what it is. So, there you go. There's my reason why I'm sticking to me 25 mile an hour. I can't do anything about it, so we're stuck like this all the way to Winston. Okay, our train is getting ready to, run through Gainford. And the one thing I always remember, especially when driving routes like this, is that, no joke, if you know what station you're about to go through, and you've been on the route long enough, generally you'll know what stations are next on the route. So, like, right here, we have Gainford. Then after that, we have Winston. Before we come to Broomielaw. Then from Broomielaw, Bonnet Castle. From Bonnet Castle, Cotherston. Rumbledkirk. Mickleton. Middleton and Teesdale. And that's a tip I could give anybody. If you know what station, if you know your location, then you pretty much know where you're going. Like, okay, I started off North Road, facing so we started off here. North Road. But we were already facing this direction. So what I knew is that I knew which way I was going. Once you know which way you're going, boom. I knew I was going to be going this way. And when I was reading the brief, and I knew we had to go to Winston and Barnard Castle, I knew for a fact that we were going to be running along the branch line. And with that knowledge in mind of where we were running, it only was a matter of time of knowing in my head, okay, what kind of train we had, the trucks we were, what loads were for what station. And, yeah. It was stuff like that. Also, if you know your lines, like I do, then you know, like, after Winston, it's single track all the way to Broomielaw. Just past the station are those is the point where that says, oh hey, you're double track. All the way to the Middleton and Teesdale branch line, which is single tracked. But knowing that we have unfitted trucks on our train, it makes, it really does put a hose clamp of a crimp in all future plans for this run. Because now I know that I'm limited to 25 miles an hour. I can't go above that speed. It's too much of a risk. With all the trucks banging around and everything, there's a good chance that you're gonna lose control of your train. I mean, yeah, my train's small enough that you could go maybe 3 miles an hour above. But still, a lot of times, BR higher-ups will come down on you like a ton of brick over that. So, if you have a posted speed limit, like if your railroad, if where you're working has a posted speed limit, like let's say you're working on a class 2. And the class 2 oftentimes will have a speed limit of 45 mile an hour. You cannot exceed 45 miles an hour. Now, one thing they don't tell you right here, but when you're going to be switching out cars, I could officially stop right here as I am technically in Winston Platform 2. But the thing is, my train, my wagons, would still be fouling the mains. I can't do that. And under railway regulations, all trains that are doing shunting on a double track section of a branch line, those trucks, your entire train must be in the section. It cannot be hanging out. You can't just be like, yeah, I'm chilling on the mains, boys. That it's considered dangerous. Let's say that diesel rail car suddenly has a brake failure. And it strikes your trucks. And that causes an accident. And from that resulting accident, a fire happens, or some kind of environmental spill. Or there is some kind of hazard that could be presented to, life and limb of the occupying residents and pedestrians. You'd be in deep sheep. You'd be screwed. Especially because it was your own negligence. Now, are there ways around, ways where a switching move can have cars stapled on the main line, as it were, like blocking the DMU's path, and you wouldn't get in trouble for it. Let me check. Am I fully in? Am I in? Sighting 1. Yeah. That what would have to happen is that my train would literally, as an example, my train would have to be so long that my engine would be up here. And my brake van would be out on the main line, past that the brake van would have, last 7 or 8 wagons would have to be past that signal for me to be qualified to leave my train on the main road. Before I would ever trundle forward. Before I could actually have that permission. Then what would have to happen is the DMU would have to wait in the platform, right? Like, it could not leave against the signals until I had finished my maneuvers. I'd switched out my... I shunted off, dropped off my truck. I'd run, and I was back and running into the siding. And pulling my trucks clear of the points. The diesel rail car would either have to stay at the platform signals or at these signals here, which in turn means that good thing I stopped my trucks. I think I stopped before I hit my trucks. That I would then be forced into what would be known as a clearance. Otherwise known as clearing the line. I would have to be... Because my train is the obstruction, it is now my job as the driver it is literally my job as the driver of this train to get it out of the way of the passenger train. So oftentimes what would happen is crews would be, standing, running alongside a wagon with a brake, with the shunters poles that have like a flat paddle on one end. It's a long pole, and it's got like a metal hook for the coupling. The wagon would actually be uncoupled from the engine once past the siding, and we'd be told to just fly shunt it into the sidings out of the way. We would be told to fly shunt it so that way we could get back to our train and get it out of the way of the diesel rail car. Now in games like Trains and Railroads Online, you can fly shunt. And in many cases, fly shunting is actually a preferable movement and a preferable maneuver to just regular, drop, shunt back with the car, and then stop, uncouple, run back, collect, and pull. No. sometimes what they'll do, and I've done this myself, is with a shay. In Railroads Online, we'll pull the pin on either the shay or the flat car. Like, let's say I'm kicking like a flat car of lumber, flat car of pipes, and a flat car and a tanker of crude oil. What we will actually do like if we're gonna kick those into our various sidings, like if your freight yard, like if your freight depot has various sidings, what we would do is we would start farther back, run and stop and kick, say, the flatbeds of pipes into a siding out of the way. Then from where we stopped, we would, while those cars are running away, you know, faster than your report card from your parents, that we would pop the pin on the flatbeds of beams or lumber, or if it's both of them, we would pop the pins on the beams first, rush those away. While they're running away, pop the pin on the lumber. That fires into a siding. Then we would pop the pin between the locomotive and the tankers, and they go buggering off into a siding. And then you can just bugger off into a siding out of the way. So that way, like, you know, good old Billy Joel Eilish running down the line with a Cookie Mogul or a Cookie Connie with a train of coal cars for the ironworks can just firewall through. That that's what we would be doing, not this. And fly shunting is often used as a way, or kicking in American terms, is often used when you need to get something done like yesterday because we have a delayed train and we can't be late. Be the same thing like at the sawmills. You have to kick flat cars out of the way to avoid holding up, like, say, the Glenbrook with a train of, like, 30 plus cordwood cars going back to the sawmill to collect cordwood for the smelter. Same thing. We don't want to be holding up iron ore trains. So that's where stuff like that would happen. Because oftentimes trains like coal, cordwood, iron ore, those are considered priority goods. Logs, lumber, beams, crude oil in some places, refined oil, tools, pipes, raw iron, rails. Some of those could be seen as, a non-essential freight. And you want to get those things out of the way as quickly as possible. Now, if you're absolutely brave and stupid like I am, you can do a hump yard. And I will, flash a picture of a hump yard on screen. But you can do one of those, and let's say that you have a piece of track that crosses at the bottom of the hump. You want to get your cars over the hump and organized into their right sidings before the train that needs to use that cross track comes flying through at 1,000,000 miles of whoosh. That you want to be on top of what I like to call your game. And also, another thing useful about kicking cars, which sadly, if you time it right, you can do it in this game, but it takes a lot of timing skills. A thing about kicking cars, you can use it to make up a freight train and get it out on the main line. Like that. Just, oh, I gotta take coal, raw iron, and lumber down to the down to the ironworks. You kick, and you kick. Oh, I gotta take like 5 coal cars, 7 cars of lumber, and, like 9 cars of raw iron. You kick, and you kick. But you kick the heaviest loads first, because they're gonna slow down a lot more because of the weight. Then you kick the second heaviest load, and then you kick the last heaviest load, and then you can kick a caboose, or fly shunt it. And you can do that to get the train out on the road before, say, the Tonopah and, and Goldsforth 280 is coming back in with a high priority crude oil train. Now, this can work, but as we're seeing right now with like the speed limit that I have to work with here, the 25-mile-an-hour limit for my freight train. If you have a freight train that's limited to a certain speed, what's going to happen? Well, then it's not going to matter how fast you kick your cars, or how many cars you kick at a time. You're still limited by the speed that is considered safe. You're still going to be limited by what you can and can't do. What you can and can't get away with. Oh, sure. Well, in Railroads Online, it's in America. We can get away with running fast. Yeah, but the thing is, you want to be careful. Because there are times where, a lot of Lincoln Pin cars that we have in Railroads Online are like these wagons here. There are no air brakes. You only have a hand brake. And a lot of times, you can't use that hand brake to control you, even if you were trying. Yeah, we have a caboose, and yes, we have a way car, but still, that's not enough. And yes, you can be limited to the speed necessary for the protection for the safe operation and deliverance of your train to its destination from its point of origin. In other words, if the conductor of your train or the god of your freight train says, we're limited to 25 miles an hour, because of, the design, because the wagons don't have the right kind of brakes, or, they're going to the works, or whatever. that you're now forced to follow those speed limits because that's what the railway itself, that's what your guard, if you're in the UK, your conductor, if you're in the US, and what the railway has deemed, or railroad has deemed safe. That kind of, it's all about the practicalities, but also they want to ensure a safe and smooth ride for your passengers. They want to ensure a safe and smooth ride for your freight cars. You know, like, going to the, like, if I were to, if they were to actually implement this in Railroads Online, I really think things like, damaged freight would really take a big ding in your paycheck. So, operations would have to be less cavalier. You know, there is a passenger and freight discomfort level in this game. And usually that's if you bang the wagons too hard or whatever. As Railroads Online evolves and we get things such as, passengers and mail, speed limits are going to start becoming a regular occurrence. They're going to become a regular thing. Hello, bonded Casso. Oh. Press flows. Okay. You see, we're not going to be able to just constantly bash cars about. Go a million miles, whoosh, into, like 45 flatbeds and pipes and send them careening down the hill in a million miles of whoosh. And hoping to God they stop. No. That's why speed limits exist. If I were to go above the speed limit for this train, bringing it back to the game we're playing, TS, as you increase speed, you decrease your threshold of safety. So much so that there will be a point where they match. But that point will be very brief because they will just go past each other without actually actively acknowledging each other. What do I mean by this? Sometimes, like as you're going up in speed from 25, like you have your threshold of runaway 25 mile an hour, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. Like, oh, it's at 75 mile an hour where they meet. But then again, this is a small train, so that's, me being very generous. With, what the runaway train will be. Longer trains, 25, and it's like right here. 30, all of a sudden, that point's a lot closer. Because now you've got more weight, more cars, uncouple all but the front 4 wagons, it says. We get to shove them in siding 1. Okay. You know, it's all about that, as I like to call it, diminishing returns of safety net. You know, it's got some fancy name like threshold of safe operations. You know, in the event or in the absence of, break. Like, okay, our air brake is not working, kind of thing. Well, what do we do now? We know that we have to keep our train under a certain speed before it runs away. Well, do we know what that speed is? Like, if it's under, say, 35 mile an hour, using your reverser, yes, it's going to damage the engine's, motion and valve gear, but if it's going to keep you from having an accident, also using the locomotive's tender brake, is going to be something that's going to help you if the locomotive has a tender brake at all. Some tank engines and some tank engines have essentially a loco brake, a train brake, and a hand brake. But, if your loco brake is fading, like, like your time in the spotlight, what's going to happen? Well, you're going to be, kind of sorry. But, if you know what what the maximum speed you want to maintain is, playing around with your brakes is going to keep you under that threshold of danger. So, like, if you look at engines like the 1001 long boilers, number 1275 is the one that Caledonia Works has made. But if you look at it, she's got really thick tender brakes. That number 1275 doesn't have proper, she doesn't have air brakes. She doesn't have vacuum brakes. In fact, another example of an engine, like, okay, these guys. Do you see any vacuum equipment on it? No. You have a loco steam brake, and that's it. Okay, station masters informed us that the press flows are bound for Middleton and Teesdale. We need to pick them up. You see, and as we establish, I think these are vacuum braked. No. And it looks like these guys don't have an air brake system either. So essentially what we're forced to do now this is our only vacuum braked wagon right here, this little guy. And if we were to lose control on our way down to Middleton and Teesdale, that thing ain't gonna stop us. It may be a 16-ton wagon, but she got the stopping power of bubblegum. That brake van's gonna be the only thing that we have as a way of holding us. But the brake van has to be working in tandem with the locomotive. And if the locomotive is having brake issues, then the brake van or caboose is going to be ineffective. Okay, if they were to introduce, going back to Railroads Online as an example, if they were to bring in maintenance, you have to have a shed for maintenance at, all industries. Here's the thing, if your maintenance bar gets heavier and heavy, like if the maintenance bar is going down and it goes down into the red, that means your brakes are not going to be as effective as you would think. Same thing with the freight cars. If they were to introduce maintenance on freight cars, and the cabooses and way cars, snowplows, everything that you can imagine, things like your handbrakes are going to become less and less valuable, less and less reliant. You're going to be more and more into that threshold of danger. You're going to be pushing yourself more and more into that threshold of danger. The reason why a lot of crews don't like working in the threshold of danger zone is because of one major issue. Once you're in it, you have a very tiny, tight window to get yourself out. That's it. There is no, I can back out anytime I wish. No. You have this little itty bitty window. I mean, it's so itty bitty, not even an ant would climb through it. It is literally you looking at this little tiny window. This little itty bitty 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 window. And, you've got one chance. And that's it. Oh. Okay. 20 minutes following the speed limits. Okay, so we're not actually due through the junction. Okay. So the 7:34 train has yet to leave. Well, it departs at 7:34. Meaning it's got about 15-ish minutes to get to the junction. Okay, our request has been denied. I want to safely, bring my train into the station. And here's the thing. Knowing, what your engine has in terms of brakes is going to play a lot into the safety factor. In this game, in trains, railroads online, whatever. Knowing your locomotive's brakes is going to be paramount. Okay, so my locomotive has, using TS as an example. Okay, so I'm driving the 9Fs, and I know they have air and vacuum. I'm driving 1275, and I know she's got nothing for a brake system. I'm driving the J27, and she has essentially no brakes. Well, she has steam brakes, but she doesn't have air or vacuum, which puts her at a disadvantage on passenger stock. She can't create the vacuum to keep it off. Now, if this were the preserved J27, yes, she would have been totally retrofitted to take vacuum and air brake. But this isn't the preserved J27. This is your normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill J27. Also, notice why I'm crawling. Notice that I'm crawling to the signal, because I essentially don't have the right kind of brakes. I want to keep myself under 5 miles an hour. That's about a good speed. I'm going to draw to the signals. Yes, I'm stopping a little before them. And that's because of one simple thing. I want to be able to see them. The 734 has left. I will pull these a little bit more forward. But I'm going to try not to get too close. I should be able to still see the signals. Like that. There's a reason why you want to be a safe distance. You want to be as close to the signal as possible, but you don't want to be too close to the signal that you're beyond it. So, I guess now we wait for the local train to come through. So the morning's passenger train is at Mickleton. Meaning that she has Rumbledkirk and Cotherston to get through before she, is at us. So that means, you can go make yourself a cuppa, whatever you want. I somehow doubt we'll be through before 7:50 in the morning. But I'll see you when we can get moving again. Okay, now we can officially pull our train. But once again, I have to take it very, very carefully. This crossover has a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit. And what's going to be even more fun is we're going to have to find a way to, well, keep our train under control. I mean, we could literally have gone from Bishop Auckland all the way to bloody old Weird. But God almighty, that would be long, that would be tedious. We would just be sitting there for an hour. Because there are very little places. There are... That's 2. 3, 4, 5. Here's 6. Nope. Like 7 places we could pass. But still, you gotta take length of train into consideration, length of the route. Anytime wagons just sit in a siding, they're not moving. And if they're not moving, then the freight isn't moving. And if the freight's not moving, then we're not making goods, or making money. And we want to make money, don't we? So what's our plan? Well, we're gonna try to make for Middleton and Teesdale. And you know what? I'm gonna do a camera view along the line. I really want to show this off. I love this little feature in Caledonia Works locomotives. So, let's enjoy the run. Alright, so we're taking on water and we've finished our scenario. So, I will, of course, see you in the next one. Whenever that is. I'll read the outro and then bye. We need a white era oil before we shoot the return train. So, yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.